Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 16th episode of the Pint Sports Podcast. My name is Tic, and once again, I'm joined by Holsh.
Good to be here.
And no one. Just the two of us.
So why isn't Matty here?
Well, Matty's having babies, and he's doing all the fun things. So, just the two of us today, but we've got a jam-packed episode coming up. A few things to cover. Not covering everything since the last episode, because a lot has happened. We're going to briefly touch on the Ashes. Obviously, the Women's World Cup is live as we speak. Yep. We've got England and Nigeria in extra time at the moment. So by the time we get through this, we should have a result. But
Speaking of jam-packed, my day was jam-packed with updating the
jam
sports
sandwiches.
Yeah,
Scones, pikelets.
I can't remember the last time I've ever had a jam sandwich.
Yeah, kids have jam sandwiches all the time. That's not what we're here for. We're also, obviously, like you said, going to get to the Sports Whisperer results.
Super update today.
Super update,
Yes.
Yeah. There has been a lot happening and a lot of movers and a couple of shakers and a few people just sitting down the bottom, trying to catch some points that fall down their way.
Yeah, trying to play catch up never works. I've found.
All right, well. Before we kind of went on our little break, the Ashes were in full swing, and they are no longer in full swing. We have retained the Ashes. Matty would have loved to have been here to give his thoughts on it, but what were your thoughts? Because we got through the first two, and then obviously the loss that we had. How did you feel the outcome kind of worked?
Look, I don't like it.
Feels a little empty, doesn't it?
It does, and it's not that I don't think we don't deserve it. I just feel like the last two games, the end result didn't project either game correctly. The second last test, the fourth test, England obviously deserved to win it. Of
course,
dominated us completely, and we were lucky enough for the rain, which is fine. It's part of cricket, has been for 150 years, and
Depends who you talk to. And when you talk to them.
But to England's credit, they dominated us in that game. And then in the last game, I feel like Australia actually had the final stranglehold on that one. And then an issue that I'm no doubt we'll have a quick chat about changed the whole proceedings. And if it went from what I felt like was going to be an almost certain win to, getting decimated. Well, not decimated, but it put us in a position where England got a distinct advantage back that evened up the contest, I guess.
Well, if you look at those two last tests and you think about, okay, well, England effectively lost that game or didn't get the win because of the rain. That's out of anyone's control.
That's right.
That's just weather based. It's not the ground was or they didn't put the covers on properly. It just rained so much that you couldn't get a result. This is not whinging about the results at all, but I guess it is. And I'm okay with that. The fifth test was decided by a decision not of the players' volition. You know what I mean? There's a big issue there, and it's the ball. It's the ball of the century, as we called it earlier. Never has a ball change made such a big difference to a test match, I think, than what that did.
I watched every single ball of Australia's last innings, and when it happened and they brought out the box of balls to replace it, and they opened it and they had the camera viewing from above it, I immediately in the couch I'm thinking, every single one of those balls looks in immaculate condition.
But there were some that looked not as new as the one they picked, right?
Well, there was some that one side or the other, might have been a little bit closer, but the ball that they were using wasn't great.
Yeah.
And no doubt every single ball that was in there was at least of better condition. And the law is you cannot replace the ball with a ball that is newer or in better condition than what it was. So there's been so many contentious, disputes over this series and a lot of controversy it's just from the media.
It's drama and it's great.
It's
great for
in the end, that's what it is. It's drama. And nothing across the 5 test series was outside the law of the game.
Of course.
The umpires made a decision that actually wasn't in the laws of the game. And for me, that makes a big difference.
All right, where does England stand in this in the moral ashes, which was a bit of a buzzword there at times, where okay, well, there's this talk of if that happened with Stokes, he would, the Bairstow incident, no, he wouldn't have appealed for it or whatever it might have been. Maybe you throw a catch up and you hit it against your leg and you still review it and then complain with it. But anyway, forget about that. Is England complicit in this? Wouldn't they, the beers of everything that is moral, say, no, that none of these balls are appropriate, we want to play within the right spirit of the game? Or does that go out the window when you're 2-1 down facing losing an Ashes series?
Look, I don't think England actually have anything to worry about. Like, I don't. If it was Australia, if it was India, if it was South Africa,
take the advantage you're given.
It's an umpire's decision. So the last thing I want people to believe is I'm actually giving this to England, because it's not England's fault.
No. I'm not suggesting that.
No, look, I think if it was the other way and Pat Cummins had the chance, like, obviously, to replace a ball that was doing absolutely zero, we're going to do it.
Yeah.
But the ball they selected was just not. It wasn't comparable.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
So we're at test level here, and they got one box of balls, right? Surely there's more than one box of balls available at test level.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like, test level, you'd think they would have a box for, 10 overs in.
Yep.
20 overs, 30 overs, up to 80 overs. Like, if that was the only box and that replaced a 37-over ball, what are they going to do if it was at 70 overs?
Yeah, that's a Mickey Mouse thing, isn't it? That's, you
So
wouldn't get...
they're still going to get one of those balls that they brought out because that's all they had.
Yeah.
So with 20 overs left, they essentially get it. It just didn't make sense. And
I read an article about that particular ball, and I don't know if it was about that, or it was a different scenario in Australia or something, where the older the ball gets, the leather shrinks a little bit, the ball's harder. Kawad just said exactly that it felt brand new and unlike any other ball he had faced in that series. Now, the maker of those balls mentioned
stamped.
The stamp and everything like that, but he said the balls they played with in 2019 swung a lot more. These didn't seem to do so, and the variation in the degrees of swing was just outside the norms of any possibility that ball could be anything but a ball from the 2019 series. So it's just ridiculous that the umpires have made that decision to go, this is fair.
They're never going to find that ball. Like, at the end of a test, any innings, like, I don't know, did one of the players get, like, probably Stuart Broad probably takes it because, he took those final 2 wickets to
swaps it.
So that's, that's one of his. So, but it's just disappointing.
So what is the solution to that? Because that shouldn't have happened, and it can't happen again.
Well, I think you just explained the solution. It's a international sporting match. Have the correct equipment in place.
I saw something where should it be a decision made by all three parties? Okay, so maybe it's a case of the umpires pick 3, the bowlers pick 2 of those 3, and the batsman picks one of the 2. You know what I mean? So
it used to be part of the rules.
Yeah.
The batsman used to always get a say to say, yeah, look, I agree. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
It's comparable.
So what changed there? Like,
I don't know. Like, Khawaja mentioned that, like, they didn't even know the ball had changed initially because they were worried about his head knock.
Yeah, right.
And then when he came back up to bat, he was like, oh, they're using
shit,
a
maybe
new ball.
I am affected by the head knock. This ball feels a lot harder.
Yeah, look, I don't know, but I do agree with Ricky Ponting in this instance that it needs to be investigated and it needs to be, I would hate to see another test match, doesn't matter who's playing in it, have to change the complex of the game because of the inadequacies of their preparation for a test match.
You can cop a bad decision by an umpire in the heat of a game.
But there's reviews to fix that too.
Yeah, but you just can't cop something like that, which is so. It's not, you're not under pressure at that point, are you? It's just almost a clear cut thing. Here's the balls. Forget about that. Okay, forget about the controversy. Great test once again.
Oh, amazing test, amazing series. Like, really, the only game that was dominated was number 4. By England. But every other test ebbed and flowed in both teams' favour, which is what you want in Test cricket. So, look, it's a shame because I honestly think that what happened in that last test is going to take the tarnish off that series a bit.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it was one of the greatest test series.
Maybe because it wasn't necessarily series defining as such. It might take a little shine away from it. I know there's a difference between a win and a draw, but I don't know, all's well that ends well. We still got the Ashes. It was an opportunity that we let slip, I think, through a bit of tactical error at points with our bowling. That short bowling, I think it was in the third game, really kind of set the scene, I think, for the rest of the series a little bit. We lost our way a fair bit in those next two games.
Yeah.
So tactically, I think we fell apart a little bit in those final three tests. Batting let us down across the board pretty much.
For sure. Look, I think if you broke it down hour by hour, I think England were the better team in this Ashes series. And full credit to our boys to, there was a lot, hard. We didn't win a toss till the last test. We lost our best spinner after the first test. And in all honesty, I don't think Paddy captained very well at all. In a lot of situations where it just felt like he had a plan, and they stuck to that plan even if it wasn't working, and they wouldn't sway it until they seemed to get back into the sheds and come back out and then make a change. And I'm just, Australian captaincy, you need to be able to manipulate things on the run a little bit better. So I'm sure he'll learn from that as well. But at the same time, he conducted himself like a legend.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, absolutely.
He's just, I'm still happy for him to be our skipper and all the rest of no complaints there, but just felt like I'd love Ricky Ponting to be the Australian coach. Because the logic he would bring in, I think it's needed. But anyway, it's done and dusted now, and I can't wait for them. It's just going to put more fire in the belly for the next one. And
never doesn't have it, I suppose. But as far as English Ashes series are concerned, that's one of the best that I've seen.
Oh, for sure.
It's probably the one I've watched the most of as well. Most times I'm falling asleep pretty early. This time I'm falling asleep, I'm waking up, I'm staying awake for 4 hours, struggling at work the next day. I was kind of happy it was over in the end. I'm a bit fatigued from this now. And but as far as further talking points from particular players are concerned.
I had one question I wanted to ask you, and I haven't spoken to Tic about this, but I was just looking back at the series the other day, and how important in the scheme of his career, would you rate that 100 by Marnus Labuschagne the most important century he's scored in his career? To draw that fourth test and retains the Ashes.
Well, I guess, in the context of what happens after it, probably at the time you don't recognise
he had a terrible series.
He did, yeah.
But that 100...
it
hasn't really been talked about much since, but if he doesn't put on that innings...
we're gone well before the rain comes.
So, I don't know. It's just he did nothing all series, but then that one century...
But that's what a team does, right? Like that is the essence of cricket. You can't expect playing cricket that everyone's going to make runs. It just doesn't happen that way. It doesn't matter how good your players are across the board. Even the great Australian teams. Not everyone made runs, but someone always stood up at a different point in time. So... Labuschagne, he's still a good bat. There's nothing's changed in that regard. You're going to have bad series. But, Smudge didn't have the best series, but he still played well.
And I think Murphy showed enough in that last test to show he is the future of the
future batsman, you think?
Oh, yeah, he did that right. But I've got a lot of confidence in him, and I think not playing him in the fourth test.
He's so young as well. It's hard to forget when you have someone playing Test cricket that they are still learning the game, and he's got a lot to learn. And while we can get him in this squad while Lyon is still playing, all the better. He's going to... Lyon's got that personality, I think, of a good teacher as well. So, and I think he's not arrogant enough to go, I'm the number one spinner and that's that. He'll take him under his wing. And,
it gave me a lot of confidence just watching him bowl in that last test. So,
what about Stuart Broad announced his retirement the day before the last day, effectively. How do you look back on his career?
Oh, he's a gun. Especially from an
that hurt you, did?
No, not really. No, I've never hated him. He's obviously very smug.
He's a showman.
He is. But he's great to watch, and I think his performances against Australia show he is one of the guys that is effective against the best. In this series, Anderson did nothing. And Anderson, in general, in the past, when you look back, hasn't actually been all that effective against Australia.
Yep.
But Broad has
He's been our
always, he has. He's a quality bowler, and he's good for the game because people want to go watch him. They want to see him. They want to see his antics.
Yeah, it's a begrudging respect when he's kind of geeing the crowd. Like, I love that. I love seeing it. Moving the bails. He got 2 wickets from it. It's just those little things that you go, this is good to watch. I hate the man. He's fantastic. I love this, and I don't like it. I'm confused.
You can imagine if you're an Englishman, you'd just absolutely.
Look, I will for the rest of my life remember that morning when he ran through us. 8 for. Whatever it was, 21. Or it mightn't even been that high. I think we only scored 40 odd. But
probably like 8 for 50.
But whatever it was just so... It got to a point watching it that I went, I'm enjoying this now. How ridiculous can this get? And he was shocked at the time as well.
I'm just glad he's not going to be in the next Ashes.
No longer a tormentor. He said he loved the Ashes. He said that's what drove him. He said he loved every single part of playing the Ashes, except from facing Mitch Johnson. Was it at the Gabba or the Wacker?
Yeah. No, Brisbane.
Scary. I really enjoyed that. Khawaja, obviously, he ended up winning the most runs for the Ashes. A few people picked Khawaja, but not a huge amount. So
no, I think it was exactly 5%, so they still got their double points.
Nice.
And
openers don't do well in England.
I know. Obviously, like whoever... Two guys actually got 40 points. So they picked Stark and Usman. And obviously those two guys don't listen to the pod.
Yep.
Because they've got more sense than us. But yeah, look, Uzi, over 1,000 balls. Ridiculous.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, look.
How long is he going to play? He's ageless at the moment, isn't he?
He is. I think he'll get to the next Aussie Ashes, but I can't see him being at the next English one.
Yeah. Why can bowlers go on a bit longer than batsmen, do you think?
Doesn't make sense.
Particularly, Anderson going so long into his career. That makes no sense.
Yeah. Maybe it did make sense this series.
Possibly, yeah. Might have been over the hill. I think they said that Stark and Wokes were joint men of the series. I don't know if they picked one for Australia and one for England. I would have gone with Khawaja over Stark. He had a big impact, but I don't think he was as dominant, I think, as he can be. Sure, he took a lot of wickets, but Wokes was a revelation once he came in. And
he's a gun.
Yep.
He's a gun. And, he is one of those guys that just goes about his business.
Yep.
But he's, and it's funny, like, I felt like they could have bowled him more at different times where... So
he was the most dangerous of their bowlers consistently, I think, across
and he's a
the
good
test
bat.
that he played. Wood as well. He kind of changed the series a little bit when he came in. That extra bit of pace was phenomenal.
Well, I think Wisden announced their team of the Ashes, and I think Australia only had 3 in the side.
We got Khawaja, Stark,
and I think Smith. No,
Carey'd have to be in over Bairstow.
No, Bairstow made it.
Really?
Yeah.
Runs based.
Yeah.
Carey
Obviously.
did drop off a bit in those last couple of tests as well.
I think it might have been Smith still.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because Smith ended up 5th.
But Smith still played a few good innings.
Yeah,
he just didn't go on with those big scores.
But yeah, eight Englishmen. But when I read over it, I'm like, well, it's hard to actually argue that.
Yeah, we didn't have any real dominance, I think, in that. You couldn't put a name to the Ashes anyway. Your Beefy's Ashes or your Johnson's Ashes or your Smith's Ashes. There was no one that stood out across the whole 5 tests. Okay, so that's put to bed finally, and so are we.
Yeah, thank God.
But we got a little bit to stay up for, particularly tonight. Let's check on that England World Cup score at the moment.
Yeah, so I haven't really seen much of the Women's World Cup so far, just purely because the Ashes have been on.
So it's a break. I'm guessing it's going to penalties, maybe?
Penalties. Come on, Nigeria.
Penalties.
Come on, Nigeria.
Yes, go Nigeria.
Speaking of penalties.
Yeah, speaking of penalties, so, I haven't caught a huge amount of it. If it's on, I picked Sweden, so I was following them kind of loosely. Found they were playing last night, so I'm like, I'm going to flick this on. Unfortunately, I fell asleep before the penalties started. Yeah. I knew it was 0-0, obviously, into overtime twice. I sent the video of the penalties, and it was crazy, wasn't it?
Yeah, when you sent it through, I was like, oh, yeah, I'll quickly watch this. Yep. But, I had no idea how erratic, like the swing in that as well, because USA had so many chances to put it away.
Yeah.
And the one thing I did like note from it was when it started and the first two from each team come out to shoot, take their penalty shot, it was elite.
Yep.
Like they're putting it away in the corner.
There was some great kicks there, wasn't there?
It was incredible.
Like the keeper went the right way.
Yeah,
still didn't get a
still
hand on it.
put it in that that foot from the post where you just can't reach. And I'm like, wow, these girls are literally they're right up there with what I've seen in the penalty shootouts with the men. But then it dropped away in some circumstances where you could see like their confidence wasn't quite, a little bit more teetering.
A few chip shots going.
And
one of them put a bomb up pretty much. It went that high.
Yeah, well, I think USA had two chances to win it.
Yep.
And sprayed one over the top and one hit the sidebar. And it was it was intense. And I mean, for Australia's sake, I think it's great that
USA's gone. That's one of the big ones gone, and potentially, depending on how this goes, England's probably the next off.
I think USA's ranked 1 and England 2.
Yep. So. Sweden 3.
Is
the Swedes, yeah. And how close was the actual goal? Did you see that?
Oh, yeah. it was like...
I saw a picture of it before I saw the replay. Someone I posted just a picture of. And I was looking at it going, it's like a mill, saying it was a mill from being not a goal. And I was looking at it from the wrong way, thinking if it touches I wasn't thinking the whole ball has to cross the line. I thought... And I'm looking at it going, that doesn't look like it's touching the line at all. And then when I actually saw it, I'm like, that's the other side of it. Yeah. That makes more sense. It's not touching the line. But it was literally
the full ball must cross the line.
Yeah.
But like
it was a great save.
Yeah, it was.
Twice.
I was just going to say that their goalkeeper in the shootouts was the better goalkeeper.
She was like, no chance, no way.
And she even took a penalty.
Yeah, I thought that was strange. And then just strolled straight into the goal.
Yeah, she kicks it straight at the middle. I'm like, this shootout's got everything.
Well, I'm happy that Sweden's going through, so that's good. Australia's playing tonight against Denmark. They are on the opposite side.
Is Sam Kerr still out?
I think so. I don't.
Originally, she said she was back for the last game and then didn't come in. So I don't sure. But anyone out there that hasn't watched that shootout between Sweden and USA,
not giving anything away though.
It's worth watching. It's worth watching. It's
a 13-minute video. It's good.
Yeah, I thought it was brilliant.
Because it had the American, I think she's like the veteran with the blue hair or whatever. Because she came on late in the game and they were talking her up. She's the veteran. She's this. She was shit, actually.
Wasn't there some controversy about something?
Yeah, I didn't see anything. I saw an article pop up, but I didn't read it. But she had a few corners that she just absolutely duffed into the side of the net. I was like, well, that's why she's retiring. She's no good no more.
She's the James Anderson of
possibly. Everyone gets a bit too old in the end. On the weekend, your Blues.
Carlton, 7 straight. 7 weeks ago, everyone was calling for the coach's head. Michael Voss. Things were looking pretty dire. It was pretty sickening being a big fan, but to their credit, they've won 7 straight, 5 of them in a row by more than 50.
Wow.
They've been having more
and more injuries. Are they playing good teams?
Yeah, well, in that period, they beat Collingwood, who are number 1. They beat Port Adelaide, who are number 2. And then on the weekend, they played St Kilda, who are 5th. And now we've leapfrogged them to jump into 5th. So it's really exciting as a Carlton fan because it's been such a terrible life supporting them. And for me, it's like, just for us to make the finals would be incredible. And if we do, hopefully Kate's not watching this, but I will be booking flights to head down and watch them.
How far are they from the top 4? And does the top 4 have as big of an impact as it does in the NRL?
Yeah, same. That double chance. The top 4 play first and the bottom 4 knockout. But I don't think they can make the top 4. There's actually a 2.5 game break between 4 and 5th. Yeah. So even if we won all 3, very unlikely.
Okay.
But...
the teams they're playing the next 3 as well.
Yeah, they're winnable. Well, Melbourne we've got next, who have just jumped into 2nd. Tough game. And then we've got the Gold Coast Suns and Greater Western Sydney. Both great teams as well, but, teams we should beat if we're playing at our best. So, Injuries are starting to become a concern, but man, if we win one of these three, we're in the finals.
Okay. Has it been a while since you've been in the finals?
9 years.
Wow.
I think, and the last time we made the finals, we came 9th, but Essendon got outed for the drug scandal.
Oh, right.
So we slipped in.
Default. The two greatest words in the English.
Yeah. So, and then we actually won the first final of that series. But, yeah, it's been a long time. So, yeah. And Carlton supporters are just so diehard. Like, even as bad as we've gone over the years, we're still always continuously one of the top 2 or 3 teams as far as crowd numbers. So,
that's wonderful.
Do it for the fans.
Yeah, well, I am a former Carlton member. No, you signed me up to their mailing list one time. I was like, stop sending me bloody emails about buying tickets. I live in Townsville and I don't follow this game at all. But
anyway, go Blues.
Go Blues. You've got another team as well doing pretty good who also hasn't played finals for a little while. We had the pleasure of catching the Broncos Cowboys, the local derby up here. Love daytime footy, by the way. 3 o'clock, it's perfect.
Oh, so good.
It was a bit hot, but the weather, once the sun kind of came down a little bit, beautiful weather. Great day out, drinking beers, watching the Broncos tear apart the Cowboys.
Yeah, and to be fair, they did tear them apart. The scoreline probably doesn't even really show how dominant.
No, 16 point, you generally say, 13 plus, you're getting into dominant territory. And the Cowboys had a few brief periods of coming back, but they was truly never a chance of winning that game, I don't think. From the opening try, it was dominance from that point on.
It was. They just showed they showed the flaws in the Cowboys' defense. Almost, there wouldn't be 10 minutes without some sort of prominent line break.
Yep. And I think a lot of it, we're coming from downfield. A lot of it comes from Reece Walsh. That was one of the things I was so happy to go and see him live, just to see the speed live, and it was fantastic. The threat of Reece Walsh out the back causes gaps for the rest of the team because, you can hit him occasionally and he still almost tears you apart. But when you don't hit him, that's actually when he's better utilised as a decoy because he's just so scary out the back.
Yeah. I took my 2 young boys, 7 and 5 years old, and the 5-year-old was cheering for the Cowboys and the 7-year-old was cheering for the Broncos. And for the first time ever, they were like, that game went quick. So that's because you actually enjoyed this one.
It was a good game.
It was a great game. And then this morning on the walk into school, my 5-year-old was like, oh, Dad, I might change to the Broncos. And the Broncos in that match only got 2 penalties for the whole match, which that's pretty incredible. Yeah. But they just played really great footy.
Good to watch, enjoyable stuff. So let's lead into the Sports Whisperer update. So this is your bag. A lot has happened in the time period since we last did a big update. Had a few people scratching at your door asking for, hey, where's the update?
Yeah, well, I think I updated 7 events today, which included Wimbledon, the Super Netball, the Ashes, the Open Golf. Anyway, there were 7 there, so it's been a lot happened during that time. There's still some familiar faces up the top, but there's also a couple of bigger movers. So the Wild thing is still on top, Luke Albone.
Love the Wild thing.
Sorry?
Love the Wild thing.
I know, he's even entering his tips now as the Wild thing. So he's really latched onto that name. And
he makes our heart sing.
But he is actually equal top, 160 points with Carly Richardson. Wow. So Carly was in the top 10 initially, and then she dropped off for a bit, and she's pegged away back. So we've got equal leaders on 160, and then we've got Greggy Doherty and James Nottingham on 158, so only 2 points. And then Samuel Nella, 155, equal with Brady Zeeth, 155. So we've got...
He's a regular.
So we've got 6...
Within 5.
Within 5 points.
Yeah.
And then James Griffiths, Amanda Knight, 152, Nathan Green, 151, and then my other son is leapt. The 7-year-old's jumped into the top 10. So
he's a Broncos supporter. He's smart.
I know. Well, you can see he would always come to the fore eventually. So yeah, and over the last 7, Chris Connaughton picked Usman Khawaja and Mitchell Starc.
Yep.
So 40 points because both of those were double pointers.
Yep.
So he's jumped up to 146 points. So he's literally just on the brink of the top 10 now, off one event.
Yeah.
Which once again goes to show, like, you just got to stick at it, and unless your name's Holshy, there's a good chance you're going to make that little leap at some stage. But Mick Austin, who's on 141 points, he's actually leading this quarter with 57 so far. So
from 7 events, that's pretty good going. That's a good point.
I'd be happy with that from 17.
So we got the leaders on 160 odd. You're sitting around 90 points. Is that right?
I think it's like 80 something.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was I? 120.
122.
122.
Yeah. I didn't look at what Skembry's at.
He'd probably be about 10 behind me, I reckon.
Yeah,
I guess that's usually where he was sitting. So can't have gone too far. I'm just going to check this. Penalties 4-2 to England at the moment. Is that it?
That's pretty much over then. Yeah.
But, damn it. Anyway, whatever. So obviously there's a few events coming up as well. So we're just going to run through that top 10 and have a bit of a look at what's coming up, who's picked what, and who's a chance of points. You didn't get down to spot number 8, but we've got Amanda Knight with 152 points. She's got a lot of pretty good tips in the next, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 events that are kind of coming to the conclusion.
Yeah. So we basically brought the top 10 in and having a look at what they've got projected ahead of them. And Amanda, in the Women's World Cup, she's got Australia, which are alive. Maybe,
but there's still a long way to go.
Long way to go there, but she's got Australia. She's actually got, in the baseball, Toronto Blue Jays, who are playing really well. And I just checked before, they're actually 5th in the league for their conference. So double points there. Then she's got, can you pronounce this?
Yeah, Francesco Bagnaia.
Who's leading.
I'm pretty sure I've got Francesco right.
So in the MotoGP, she's got the leader.
Yep.
In the supercar drivers, she has, I can't even read that.
Brock Feeney. I think he's coming second, but she's on double points with him.
Double points again. Then she's got Lockie Neal in the Brownlow, who's projected 3rd at the moment.
Yep.
And she's got Penrith
Panthers.
in the NRL. They're going as usual, which I hate. And then Alex Johnston, who's only 1 point off the lead for most tries.
Yeah.
When you look at everyone else across that sort of top 10 region, I don't think anyone consistently...
She's showing a lot of green.
Yeah. No one consistently has that many chances in those live wages at the moment, I guess.
So what we're saying is, look to see Amanda Knight rocketing up the leaderboard.
Yeah, like I'm sure if we put mine in here, they'd be like mainly green.
As
well. So, I'll probably...
Is it opposite that? No one told me about it.
But yeah, look, it's great to see like new names pop in every time we do an update on this, and
it just shows, like you said, the ability to kind of move around the table just by jumping in, putting some tips in, and seeing how you go. But the wild thing, I look at his tips as well and go, geez, I think we think alike. He's got a fair bit going on there. That's not too bad. Probably from the Dally M perspective, he's got Kalen Ponga, which I think he did miss a fair period of games in the middle there, but he's in real good form at the moment. He'll be picking up points left, right, and centre.
He's got triple points.
Triple points, yeah, potentially. So depending
That's
on
a classic Wild thing.
It is a classic Wild thing move, but I think Payne Haas might be the man to take it out this year. He's been, as always, super consistent. He's missed a few games here and there, but he was near about leading when the votes went behind doors, but he hasn't stopped playing well. He'll be picking up a lot of points along the way. Nathan Cleary, he's showing up a fair bit there. I think he's missed too many games and hasn't been a standout as such, I think, this year that he has in previous years. Nico Hines is another one there. Going back-to-back is pretty difficult, and once again, the Sharks' form hasn't been too great. So I picked the Sharks for the premiership. I don't think that's a good chance.
Yeah, and I see Luke Albone's picked the same as you for most tries with Corey Oates.
Yeah, Corey Oates will be back in round 27, so he just needs to score somewhere around 22 to 25 tries in that game to win. Or maybe just about 19 if we're going to be realistic. He might not take out first. He might get fourth.
Yes.
Good chance. Mike Acevo, your pick was going really well. Till he got suspended. And Scott Drinkwater, your darling, he was going well, but he got suspended too.
Yeah. I'm just going to start picking people and teams that I hate from now on, just to put the curse on
the reverse curse.
Well, the reverse curse is going okay so far.
Spain's still going. They're still alive.
They're already through the round of 16. They're in the quarters. So
well, that's if Sweden gets through. Or Sweden's playing Japan next up. Spain's playing the Netherlands. And if they will meet at some point potentially if they both get through, which is very exciting.
Yeah, I think I'm going to start tuning in into a few more games in this now that the Ashes is over. So,
well, speaking of that, it was such a hectic little period there, wasn't it? With the volume of sport that was on at night time, you had to take your pick. Australia in the cricket let me down at points where I went, I'm sick of watching cricket because they were so bad tactically. So I watched the Matildas for a bit, and then before that started, I was watching the British Open.
The Tour de France.
I didn't watch much of the Tour de France. I couldn't quite get into it. But then the footy was on. I'm going, geez.
It's a great time to be alive.
Someone scores a try, quick, turn it over to the cricket, turn it over to the golf, have an idea there. You got a phone up here, you're all over the shop. But it was one, I think the swimming championships were on. I didn't catch any of those.
I followed Dustin Johnson really closely until that first round was over and he was out of contention. So
yeah. Who did I pick? Tommy Fowler. Is that right? Does that sound right?
Ricky Fowler.
Ricky Fowler, yeah. Ricky Fowler. Not as good as Scotty Scheffler. Movies. We're not doing movies this week because we put this together pretty at the end. You wouldn't be able to tell because it's pretty professional. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think that's about it for now. Obviously, if Matty, I haven't heard from you, but I hope it's all
we
gone
haven't asked either, so.
No, well, I think you usually just wait.
That is true.
Is that the courtesy?
I think so. It's rude otherwise to ask.
Well,
so we're not asking, but tell us.
Yeah. Anyway.
We missed you, Matty. But I think this was fun.
Yeah.
Do you think it was fun? Comment, like below, subscribe, tell your friends, whatever. Do whatever you want. I don't care. Do you?
Oh, I care.
Okay. Well, as always, keep tipping, keep drinking. We'll see you next time.
Pew.